Hi, my name is Sunny Solanki, and in today's video I will explain how to create a dashboard with tabs using famous Python dashboarding library Streamlit. As you can see on my screen, I have a sample image open showing how our dashboard will look. So as you can see, our dashboard has three tabs named data, ingredients relationship, and average ingredients. So in the data tab, we'll be displaying our data set, which we are going to use for our purpose. So we'll be using a wine dataset, which is a very famous dataset available from a Python machine learning library scikit-learn. And then in the second tab, we have a scatter chart showing relationship between two columns of our dataset. And apart from scatter chart, we have two drop downs, which will be used to select columns of our dataset for X and Y axis. And then I have one checkbox. So this checkbox, when selected, colors the points of the chart based on one categorical column of our data set. By default, all the points are colored with blue color, but when you select this checkbox, it will color based on the unique values of that categorical column. And in the third tab, we have a stacked bar chart. So the stacked bar chart shows the average values of columns of our data set based on the values of that categorical column. So, and apart from that, I have at the top multi-select. So this multi-select will be used to select columns of our dataset, like which columns I want to be displayed in this chart. So yeah, that was a small introduction to what kind of dashboard we are going to create. So without further delay, let's jump to my code editor and get started with the coding part. So alright, so I have a editor open and I'm going to use Visual Studio Code, but you guys are free to use any code editor you want to use or any text editor. You can even use Notepad. And yeah, so I have created a file named streamlit tabs, streamlit_tabs.py. So in this file, I will be keeping the code for my dashboard. So I have some code already written over here. So the code over here is a few imports which we are going to use for our tutorial. And then I have included code to load dataset. So let me first explain the imports. So first of all, I imported Streamlit as st. So we'll be using this one to create various widgets and so on. Then I imported pandas. So we'll be loading our dataset as pandas data frame. Then I have loaded a library named pandas bokeh. So it's a famous library that let us create the bokeh charts from pandas data frame with just one line of code. You can simply call a plot bokeh function on pandas data frame, and it will create a bokeh chart. And then I have imported a load wine function from scikit-learn. So this load wine function, when called, returns a wine dataset. So then next I have few lines of code which loads our dataset. So what I will do, I will jump to Jupyter Notebook where I have executed this code and show you how our dataset looks. So let me just open Jupyter Notebook. So as you can see on my screen, in the first cell over here, I have executed the load data function and loaded the wine df data frame. So wine dataset is a very famous machine learning dataset. It's a classification dataset. So dataset has information about various ingredients used in creation of different types of wine. So as you can see, there are ingredients: alcohol, malic acid, ash, and so on. And the last column, which is generally called the target value, wine type. So this is categorical column. So we have three values in this categorical column, which is class 0, class 1, and class 2. So all the columns of our data set except wine type are continuous. All of them have continuous values, and wine type is the only column where we have categorical data. So this is the data set that we will use for our scatter chart, and we will show relationship between various ingredients. And then in the next cell, I have created a simple list named ingredients. So I'll be using this list for our drop downs. So these are simply list of ingredients. Now in the third cell, I have created one more data frame from our original wine df data frame. So what I have done over here is that I have grouped the entries of original wine df data frame based on wine type, and then I have called a mean function on it. So what this will do, it will return me a new data frame where I have average values of ingredients per wine type. So for class 0, on an average, I have 13.74 alcohol. For class 1, 12.27 of alcohol, and so on. So this is the second data set which we have created from our original wine DF data frame. And we will be using this data frame for our bar chart, for our stacked bar chart. Right, so that was a small introduction to dataset. Let's jump to editor and let me start with the coding part. So first of all, as you can see over here, first of all I will create a title and this line I will include. So in order to create a title, there is a function name available from Streamlit name title, and over here we can simply give whatever string we want to give. So I will say wine dataset analysis. Now this will create a title, but as you might have noticed, I had included few emojis as well over here. So Streamlit let us include various emojis by putting them in a column. So there is a name for various emojis, and you can check Streamlit docs about list of emojis available, but I will use a few commonly used one. So I will say tea, then I will say coffee. Let's use chart, and there is a one more name, bar chart, which shows bar chart. So this will include those emojis. Now if you want to color any word over here, so you can do that by putting it in brackets and then giving color name followed by colon. So let's say I will say red. So what this will do is that it will color analysis word with red color. Currently there are few colors available: red, green, blue, and yellow or orange. There are not that many colors available. Yeah, so that was the title. Then in the next line I will type the line. So I will call the markdown function, which will let us include markdown in our dashboard. So markdown is nothing but a small language to create a formatted text. So what I will say, explore relationship between various ingredients used in creation of the different types of wines. So wines we know class 0, class 1, and class 2, right? Let me just bolden ingredients, and if we include a single star, then it will italic the text, and if we include a double asterisk or star, then it will bolden the text, whatever is in those asterisk. Yeah, so we have a title and text included. Next, what I will do is that I will create a tree tab which we are going to use. So Streamlit has a function name st.tab. Now this function accepts list of string. So string names are the title of those tabs. So I will say first is data tab, second tab is ingredients relationship, and the third tab is average ingredients. So let me include emojis over here as well. So I will include emoji name clipboard, which somewhat looks like a data set. Then over here I will include emoji named chart, simple chart, and over here I will include one more emoji named bar chart. Now this function returns 3 tabs object. So I will say tab 1, tab 2, and tab 3. Okay, so now we have 3 tabs ready. Now in order to include any chart or any widget or anything into a particular tab, we can use with statement context manager. So we can use tab as a context manager, Now whatever I write over here will be included in that tab. So first of all, I will simply include a title, small title over here. I will say 3 times hash will create h3 tag or header 3 tag in markdown. So I will say wine data set. So this will include a wine data set header in the first tab. Now in order to print the data set, I will simply call write method and I will give it our wine df data frame. So what this will do is that it will kind of create HTML table in our dashboard and it will show our dataset over there. So it will be a scrollable dataset. So this write function is kind of a magic function available from Streamlit. You can give it many different kind of objects, like I gave pandas data frame. You can give it a numpy array. You can give it string, and it will create a proper formatted output for that particular object in the dashboard. So let me include our average wine df data frame as well. Right, so we have our dashboard, initial dashboard ready with the title, 3 tabs created, and in the first tab we are displaying the data set. So let's go ahead and run and see how our dashboard looks. So I will start a new terminal. Okay, let me go to directory where I have files. Okay, so I have this streamlit underscore tabs.python file stored in this streamlit tabs folder. Now in order to run streamlit dashboard, we need to bring up server, and we can do that from command line by calling this command streamlit run, and then whatever is the file name, streamlit underscore dot py. So let me run this one. Right, so it will complete in a few seconds. Okay, so the server is started, and as soon as the server starts, it opens a new tab in the browser. So server is started at port number 8501 at localhost. So as you can see, we have header of our dataset, then the line which we included, and then we have 3 tabs, as you can see: data, ingredients relationship, and average ingredients. And over here we have our scrollable dataset. As you can see, it looks quite nice. So you can analyze the dataset from here. The whole dataset is included, and below we have a second dataset. Right, so the dataset is done. Now let's include charts in these 2 tabs. First of all, we will create a scatter chart and show you how it looks. Okay, so for the next line, I will say width 2. So in the second tab, I will create a scatter chart. So I will call our wine df data frame. Then over it, I will call plot bouquet. And as I want to create a scatter chart, I will call scatter function. For x-axis, I will use alcohol initially, but later on when we introduce widgets, we will replace these values. For y-axis, I want to use malic acid. So these are first 2 ingredients. Then there is a category parameter, which if I set to categorical column of my data frame, then it will color points of the chart based on that column's value. So I have set it to wine type. Then I can include X label, which I will set to alcohol. Y label, I will set to malic acid. Title, I will set to alcohol versus malic acid. So there we have x-axis, y-axis label, and title. Next, I can set figure size, which I will set to 650 pixel by 500 pixel. Then there is a parameter named show figure, which I need to set to false. So what this will do is that it will return me a figure object, which I can display later. So I will say scatter fig Okay, so let me modify the font size of title and label. So I will say font size of title to 25, font size of label to 12. Right, so we have our scatter chart ready. Now in order to display the scatter chart in dashboard, we need to call bokeh chart function. Now this method accepts bokeh figure which we created, which is scatter figure, and there is a parameter named use container width which I will set to true. So what this will do, it will increase the width of our chart if it's a little bit less compared to what is the width of the container. Okay, so we have our scatter chart ready. So let's check these changes in dashboard. So let me rerun. So anytime you change the source file, it gives you option over here whether you want to rerun. You can click over here always rerun, and it will rerun for you. So let me rerun, and as you can see, we have our chart alcohol versus malic acid created. So yeah, let's go ahead and create a stacked bar chart as well. So once we have both charts ready, and then we will introduce various widgets which we will use to modify those charts. So with tab 3, what I will do is that I will create a bar chart by calling bar chart method. Now first parameter to this function is wine data set. So we will be using average wine df. Then for x-axis I will say use wine type column, and for y-axis as of now I will select 3 ingredients which are alcohol, malic acid and ash. But as we change as we introduce multi-select, then this value will be replaced with the value selected in multi-select. Okay, so over here I will set height to 500 pixel, and again I will use container width to true, so that it's the same as the width of the container. Okay, so we have stack bar chart ready as well. So let's just check the changes. As you can see, we have a stacked bar chart ready. So let's go ahead and introduce widgets. So before we create widgets and add it to chart, let me simply add a title at the top of our tabs for both the chart. So I will call st.markdown, and I will say I will use tree hash to create the h3 tag or header tree. Scatter chart explore relationship between ingredients. So that's the title for the first scatter chart. Let me include one for a bar chart as well. Say bar chart, and I will say average ingredients for wine type. So we have included title. Let's just check the changes. I will rerun. Okay, so here we have title. Over here we have title as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and include various widgets. So first of all, I will include widgets for our scatter chart. So I will create 2 drop downs. So the function to create a drop down is st.selectBox, and this first argument to this function is label, which I will set to x-axis. The column to use for x-axis. Then there is argument name options, list of options for this drop down, which I will set to our ingredients, the list of ingredients which we were maintaining in ingredients list. And I will set index to 0. So what this will do, by default the first ingredient will be selected, and I will store the result in x-axis variable. So this variable will have the whatever the drop down values is selected, it will be available in this variable x-axis. So let's create another one for y-axis. For y-axis, I will say label to y-axis. Options will be ingredient, and index I will select 1. So second ingredient. So the 0th ingredient is alcohol, and the first one is malic acid. So by default, x-axis will have alcohol value and y-axis will have malic acid. So that are the two drop downs, and we had one more checkbox as well, which will store in color and code. And method to create a checkbox is st.checkbox, and label I will say color and coded. So what this checkbox function returns, it returns a true and false value based on whether you have selected a checkbox or not. All right, so we have three widgets ready. So let's link this widget with our chart. So whenever widget value changes, the charts get updated. So over here, for axis, I will set value to x-axis. So whatever is the widget's value. For y-axis, I will set value to y. For category, I will put if-else condition. So if color and code is set, then use wine type column to color the points of the chart based on wine type. Else don't color it based on wine type. Okay. Else x-axis label I will set to x-axis dot capitalize. So it will capitalize whatever is the ingredient name. Same I will do for y-axis, capitalize. And for title, I will create a formatted string. Ingredient 1 versus 2. So over here I will say format x-axis dot capitalize and y-axis dot capitalize. All right, so we have linked our widgets to our chart. So whenever the widget value changes, this chart will change as well. Now how Streamlit works is that whenever you change any widget value, so if you change the drop down value from particular drop down, then Streamlit runs the whole script from top to retrieve the latest value of all the widgets and so on. So over here, as you can see, I have used the cache data when we are loading our data set. So there is a reason behind using this decorator cache data. So because many times it happens that our data set takes a lot of time to load. It takes few seconds, and every time when Streamlit reruns the script when we change widget state, this can take a time to reload the page. So if you use cache data, it will cache the data set that you have loaded, so you don't need to run that function again and again to load the data. All right, so we have linked the widget to charts, and let's test our changes, whether when we change these drop down values, whether scatter chart is getting updated or not. So let's go ahead and test it. So all right, so over here I am. Let me rerun the dashboard. All right, over here we see that we have two drop downs, x and y axis, and we have a checkbox as well. So I will select checkbox. Okay, so when I selected checkbox, it colored the points of the chart. And let me try different ingredients. So as I change x-axis value, as you can see, it's reflecting in chart. Let's try total phenols. For y-axis also it's working fine. So yeah, we have successfully created our scatter chart and linked it with widgets. So whenever we change widget state, it's changing chart as well. Let's go ahead and do the same for bar chart as well. So for bar chart, I'll be creating a multi-select, and label I will set to ingredients, and then options will be, so st.multiselect is a function which we can use to create a multi-select. Okay, so options, a list of options which I will set to ingredients, and then there is a argument name default. So how many options we want to select by default. So that default I will set to this 3, ingredients alcohol, malic acid and ash. By default this 3 will be selected, and I will save this result in multi_select variable. So whenever we change any values in the multi-select, all the selected ingredients will be available in this variable multi_select. So over here we can simply pass this variable name multi_select, and it will create a stack bar chart of those selected ingredients. So yeah, so it was that simple to add a multi-select to our chart. So let's save this last change as well. Right, so I will rerun the code, and as you can see we have our stack bar chart ready with the multi-select. So let's try different. As you can see, as I introduced total phenols, the chart got modified. Let's try color intensity, hue. Yeah, so as you can see that our code is working fine, and we successfully created a simple dashboard with tabs. All right, so that's it for this tutorial. In this tutorial I explained how you can create a dashboard with tabs using famous dashboarding library Streamlit. So if you liked our video and you feel that you learned something new today, then give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and yes, see you next time.